as true as that may be, the college football fans tune into these bowl games, don't they not?
When you look at all the college football bowl games that we've had, of course, there are some matchups that are not as good as others. There's matchups with 5 and 7 teams, 6-win teams, but they're still getting ratings. An average football game, college football bowl game is going to get around a 2.2 rating, which does better than an NBA regular season game. So there's no reason why major markets like ESPN are not going to want to play these games. People are watching, and if you look at the motives behind these bowl games, the teams in the games, the players in which play in these experiences, getting to go across the country to places like California, Las Vegas, these are great experiences for these players. And I don't think that's something that we want to pass up immediately.
Play is at the top of this, and they have to take responsibility for it.
But is there something that they should be taking responsibility for that's negative? Because if you look at each of these bowl games, Indiana University, for example, there is more meaning than you think. There is meaning to these players. Looking at Indiana University, they have not won a bowl game since 1991, beating Baylor 24-0. So you're trying to tell me that doesn't mean a lot for them to be able to experience that, try and compete in that level? Plus the exposure that teams can get. After Doug Flutie threw that Hail Mary pass against Miami in 1984, they now call it the Doug Flutie effect. Boston College receives 16% more college applications there next year, and then 12% more the year after that. So what these bowl games provide to schools is a chance for exposure and a chance to provide meaning to their players. And why would you want to get rid of that? Why would you want to take something away from college athletes in which we're already questioning the amount of rights they have? We're already questioning everything around that situation. They're not getting paid. Of course, they're getting scholarship. But why take away the chance to take a trip across the country and play for it in a game that, although you don't think it means anything to them, it means a boatload. Walking around this campus, you see former football players on this team wearing Foster Farms Bowl equipment and merchandise because they cared. And that game was competitive. Most bowl games are competitive because they're trying and they want to win these games.
Stadium.
You don't have to be at a stadium to have cared about the game and watch the game. If you look at the ratings on TV, people are still watching these games. Just because they're not making the trip to take a seat in the stadium, we know that's the direction that sports are going in now. People are watching these games, and there's a reason they're being televised over other events. They're getting better ratings, and you look at the revenue that the BCS is bringing in, each conference is bringing in at least $50 million from these bowl games. Why would you ever want to get rid of that opportunity to bring in revenue? Because you wouldn't be making revenue if people didn't care.
There needs to be something else going on with
If you want to open it up to 8 teams, then what are you doing to the regular season? If you look at the rankings, if you look at the 6-team, 7-team, 8-team in the rankings, you're putting in teams with 3 losses into a college football playoff. Do you really think that's appropriate to crown a champion potentially off a team that played the regular season and lost 3 games? If you're looking at the revenue you bring in just during the regular season, every game matters so much every single week, and because of that, people are watching that even more. And if you take that away by expanding the college football playoff, the whole season becomes a mess.
Games.
I think that's a fair argument. If you look at college football as a whole, I think something I'm very adamant about is player rights, and they have a lot of money on the line, and probably what's going to have to happen moving forward is there's going to have to be some changes to insurance policies and how teams, if they're able to implement them for their players, but it's not something you want moving forward because it sets a bad precedent. This is the first year we've really seen it where players like Fournette and McCaffrey have stepped away from their final game. And that sends a message to your teammates that's saying, hey, I don't care about you. I don't need you. I'm moving on with my life. I'm moving on to my career. And that precedent, this is only the first year it's happened, can expand to extreme levels moving forward. We could see 20, 30 guys dropping out of bowl games, and that's when bowl games become not important. That's when all of college football almost becomes irrelevant because everyone's just looking for the NFL and treating it just like a minor leagues.